our town. His show was tannoyed from the stage into the streets. "A modest gift for the needy and the ticketless," he'd said, hoping that the modesty would attach to him as well as to the gift. Busi did not try to fool himself where music was concerned. He knew his singing voice of late had lost some of its caverns and its peaks. Age had weakened and reduced it, as it must. But what he missed in range, he'd gained in craft. The trick of knowing how to make the most of his shortcomings, how to employ the latest microphone for volume and dimension, how to waltz and shimmy with its rigid stand, how to murmur like a lover or a confidant, rather than resound mightily as he could when young. The barrel-chested maestro of acoustics, the market crier of the song, a human megaphone. So, even at the age of 60-something, he was hardly anxious about performing. Besides, the venues where he still gave occasional recitals of his celebrated, proven repertoire to his loyal fans, and whatever strays could be delayed by his voice, were more likely to be small foyers or bars close to home than great capacious halls abroad. He didn't care, he welcomed it, in fact, that sometimes his only payment nowadays would be applause. He had some savings from his most successful years, and he owned his family house. In his widowhood, his affection for the building was all the love that he possessed. Not selling it, not milking the market as he was urged to, bullied to, more frequently these days, was a regular, if modest, satisfaction. The offers from housing factors, architects, and agents, none of whom had any desire to live in the villa and enjoy it, but only plans to knock it down and build, were delivered to the door in stiffly embossed envelopes, but mostly left unread. Busi knew that was not shrewd financially, but it was wise in every other way. Being devoted to the place where you live and protecting it, he could easily persuade himself, was not proprietorial, little more than title and mastery over an assembly of walls and ceilings. No, rooms could be comforting companions, especially if they had been hung and furnished by your wife. The styles and choices were all hers. She was indented in the cushions and the chairs. The mirrors had grown old and silvered in her company. That curlicue of ring marks on the tabletop was where she'd left her cup 1,000 times. Those antique crystal glasses had tipped towards her lips. That bedspread was the one that covered her the day she passed away. Death does not tidy up or sweep as it departs. We all of us leave traces other than the ashes and the bones. Her ashes actually were still at home in their brass and rosewood presentation casket on the piano top. She rattled slightly with fortissimo. She should be scattered in a peaceful place. But her husband could not bear her parting from him entirely. Their home, one of the 2 surviving seaside villas at the old end of the promenade, beyond the new hotels and restaurants, and the fashionable marble-faced apartment crescents with their costly slivers of an ocean view, had been a passion for them both. The grandiose, first-floor window, with its curving wrought-iron balcony and flaking paint, afforded 3 contrasting and distinctive outlooks that added value to what had become in recent years, since Alicia, a run-down property. To the west, there was a narrow prospect of the town, the seaside shopping street, some modern frontages, its ramshackle aquarium, and a skyline rising steeply from the bay, which was a largely unspoiled frieze of historic towers, domes, and spires. To the east, there were glimpses, from the balcony, of wooded slopes and the progress-defying remnant forest beyond. The only daytime darkness that we had near town, the almost wilderness, a confined headland of trees hemmed in between the buildings and the sea cliffs. This was what the